You are now watching the official YouTube channel for the largest basketball manager game in the world. Join at BuzzerBeater.com if you think you can beat the buzzer.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Bubbles BuzzerBeater, the official BuzzerBeater YouTube channel, to cover a team that has a very interesting tactic and a very interesting way of going about game day prep. And I'm sure there's some other teams that are similar to Tulsa Tomatoes in regards as to how much they use game day prep. So if you are one of these teams that falls into this category of a tomato, go ahead and comment down below if that's your team or if you have a team in your league that's like this. I'm curious to dig a little bit deeper into this topic, but for those of you that don't know what game day prep is, if you're relatively new to BuzzerBeater, I did make a full video on how game day prep revolutionized the game. And essentially, game day prep is just gives you ability to guess the focus and pace of your opponent, and if you guess correctly, it gives you a boost in ratings and makes your team play better. And if you guess it incorrectly, then it hurts you a little bit. But the team that we'll be covering today is the Tulsa Tomatoes. So they are one of the most aggressive game day prep teams in the entire BuzzerBeater community. I know that there's a couple other managers that I'm already aware of that use game day prep like every single game, and Tulsa Tomatoes is actually in my Division 3 league and does basically that outside of a random game or two. So he started in season 40, and in his very first season, very first game even, this game right here in 2017 was the first game that he ever managed, and you can see right there that he did the game day prep double guess for balanced fast against his opponent, and then in 16 of the 18 league games he used double game day prep guesses. And I know this was back when there was a lot of bots in Division 4 for the United States, so a lot of the guesses were just balanced and normal for the base offense. But through this first season, he had 25 correct guesses and only 7 incorrect guesses for about a 78% correct game day prep rate. And that's probably what got him started on just wanting to continue that strategy onward into his buzzer beater career. So he continued his double game day prep strategy nearly every game, was stuck in Division 3 League 14 for 7 seasons, and then eventually got to season 57. So season 57, in the same Division 3 League 14, you can see his game day prep guess statistics, and this was a season where he used double game day prep guesses for every single league game that he played in. So of all 22 regular season games as well as the first playoff game, he guessed both focus as well as pace. And how often was he guessing correctly? Well, he had correct guesses 26 of the 46 times, and he had incorrect guesses 20 of the 46 times. So correct game day prep rate of about 56.5%. And then how did that work out for him? Well, in the first round of the playoffs, the game day prep actually harmed him and knocked him out in the first round of the playoffs when he was the number 1 overall seed of the league. So you can see right there, he guessed inside fast against McKinley Marauders, and McKinley had an outside game day prep focus guess that was correct. So even though he was probably a strong favorite going into the game, this game day prep caused the upset win to happen. But the positive news was that the Tomatoes still auto-promoted to Division 2. So the 19-3 record and number 1 overall seed in his league was enough to get promoted to Division 2. And then he continued using game day prep a whole bunch. So in season 58, he used double game day prep guesses in 18 of the 23 games, which is still a crap ton for Division 2. Of those, though, he only had 11 correct guesses and 25 incorrect guesses, so Division 2 was definitely a barrier and a problem league because I feel like managers are a lot more invested and do a lot more strategy and preparation for all of the league games. So his correct game day prep rate was only 30.6% correct, which is not good at all. You'd be better off just not guessing game day prep at all for the entire season than guessing the majority of the games at only a 30% clip. So he obviously struggled during the regular season. I believe he went 7-15, and then he was forced to play in a relegation series. And you can see in the first game of the relegation series, he did have home court advantage on the left-hand side there. So he used his double game day prep guess and guessed correctly, but was unfortunately not able to pull out the win. He lost by 5 at home. And then in the game-deciding game, he actually did not use game day prep and ended up losing 106-83. So he ended up demoting back to Division 3 this season. And now for the Season 59 game day prep guess statistics. So there's only been 9 league games played thus far this year, but he has used double game day prep guesses in 8 of the 9 games, and correct guessed 7 times, incorrect guessed 9 times. So once again, he is below 50% for just 43.8% correct. And it's very interesting because he has one of the best teams in the league, but he is not doing too hot because he is currently sitting at 5-4 and the number 4 seed in the grade 8. So you can see my team is actually just above him at 7-2 in the standings. But yeah, it's just an interesting strategy that, got him all the way to Division 2, but he has never won Division 3 with this strategy. So very, very interesting to see, the hit and miss rate and whether or not it's working or not for them. And then if you're wondering, the one matchup that I played against him so far this season, I got tomatoed is what I said, and he double game day prep guessed me. This was actually before I realized that he does this every game, but I wasn't expecting an inside and slow guess. I did end up running patient and double guessing him as well correctly, and then ended up pulling out the close win. And this was the first game of the season, so ratings are a little bit lower for our teams, but that's because that the players' game shades were all in 7 still. But yeah, so that's how I fared against him, and we will play one more time later this season, so I will definitely be trying to dodge that double game day prep guess that I'm sure is coming. But just what do you think about this game day prep tactic, and how often do you use game day prep? For me personally, it's something that I use maybe once every 3 or 4 games, and I'm very rarely double game day prep guessing unless an opponent has a true, consistent pattern as to what they're playing, or it's like a must-win game that I'm an underdog in. But how often are you willing to use game day prep, and what are your thoughts on this kind of style for how aggressive game day prep is used by some teams? Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and once again, please let me know if you have some teams that are similar to the Tulsa Tomatoes, because I want to look deeper into this and see how effective other teams are doing with it. Thanks.